Joining me now is UFC light heavyweight contender who takes on the champion Daniel DC Cormier for the light heavyweight title at UFC 220 in Boston on January 20th. It is Volkan Oezdemir back on the show. Volkan, great to talk to you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for welcoming me.
Awesome. Thank you as always. I really do appreciate you taking the time and catching up. Been a busy 2 weeks, of course, for plenty of reasons. Off the top, you just told me off air that you are starting a new diet. What does that consist of, firstly, and why?
I'm doing everything more professionally, and my diet is also something I need to work on also. So now I am following by a nutritionist, Chris Alligeri, and now he's making a plan for me and to eat a little bit more, like not better, but because I was eating kind of good, but maybe with more variety. So I'm eating different stuff and better quantities, and everything is in a good program.
Have you known Chris for a while, or did you just meet?
Yeah, he was around the gym because he's been working with two other people, I think at least, in the gym, and he's a friend with my strength and conditioning coach. So since they already work together, it's a good mix, because you want to work with people that also get along well together. So we have a good thing going on.
Will this help with your weight cut?
Yeah, it will definitely. It will help.
Was the weight cut to 205 or I guess 206, but for this fight, of course, the championship fight 205, was it getting a bit difficult?
No, I think it was always easy for me to cut the weight, especially the last week. Everything goes really, really well. I cut down really fast, but it's all about the way I eat. Maybe in between fights, I tend to gain more weight, so now it's more about sticking up to a better weight.
Essentially just cutting out the junk food. Sacrifice you have to make, I guess, as a pro fighter.
No, it's not about junk food, but sometimes it's all about quantities.
Okay.
And all about the training I do. Because if I train less and I eat the same, then it's going to be a problem, of course.
All right. Well, it's been, as I said, a busy half a month to a month for you, of course. Up and down, good things, bad things that we'll get to. How are you feeling though? Are you, state of mind? Are you really good? I mean, some bad news, of course, with the arrest. Some good news, great news with the title fight. Does it balance out? How are you feeling right now?
Feeling great. Only great news. No problem. I'm feeling really confident about the future. So yeah.
Excellent. What was your reaction to when you got this title fight? Of course, you've been very vocal on social media. You've used the no time thing very well, I think. I know some people have said otherwise, but I think the whole no time thing on social media is actually really good, really creative. Talking about your knockouts, and you've called for the title fight for a while now, ever since pretty much Jon Jones, of course, tested positive, and Daniel Cormier got the title fight back in, and of course when Gustafsson, that fight didn't work out. What was your reaction when you got the call? When this has been in the works for a little while.
Yeah, I knew it's gonna happen. I called it for a while, and finally I have it, so it's perfect. So I wanted to have the title fight after my last fight right away, but then Jon Jones was trying to fight maybe with Brock or something else, trying to make any money fight. So maybe I was like, okay, maybe it's time to do a number one contender matchup, and then all the situation happened, and finally I'm back on the contention.
Have you been training as if you are going to be fighting DC? Because of course he agreed to fight you on social media a while back. You've both been talking. Have you been training as if you're preparing for DC, even though you're not in an official fight camp yet, or you weren't?
I'm training just to improve my myself overall. But DC is also something. It's one of the objectives. So definitely, I was training for any top 5 guys for sure.
Excellent. And of course, before we continue talking about the title fight, what can you say about the arrest? Of course, on November 18th, you were arrested, I believe, at a local MMA fight. You were at Combat Night, cornering someone.
Yeah, I was cornering one of my teammates. It's one of my sparring partners, and and then the stuff happened. But it's like right now it's an ongoing case, so it's not. I cannot actually talk about it, unfortunately for you. But everything is fine. I mean, I have a good lawyer. I have a good team around me that's gonna helping me that are helping me with all the process, and everything is going smooth for me. So the title fight is not in danger. I'm gonna fight January 20, and I'm gonna make an exciting fight.
Now, I know, as you just said, you cannot talk about it as it's an ongoing investigation. Can you, though, say, is there a court date set?
No, I don't really know right now. So my lawyer is taking care of all the process, and I'm taking care of my training. So yeah.
That'll probably be after January 20th, the title fight, I would think.
I guess so. I don't know.
Okay. So back to the championship fight with Daniel Cormier. With what happened, did you think there was a chance that maybe they would move on and not do this fight right away?
No, I think it was the perfect timing for everybody. I think he needed some time off, and now he wanted at this date, and I want to fight also anytime soon. I wanted to fight an ASAP, so that was a good mix.
Okay. Did the UFC say anything to you when they heard about the arrest? Did they say we're supporting you, we're disappointed? Did they tell you anything or no?
I didn't reach out to them, so I didn't ask for any help or anything. And they did not, but my management team talked to them, and they said everything is fine. They don't need anything from me right now. No contacts, no information. They say they're gonna reach out to us. They're gonna do their own investigation if they need to, and if they need anything, they're gonna ask us something.
Right.
But then nothing happened, and now the fight is on. So.
Well, clearly you're on good terms of sorts, just because if you weren't, you wouldn't have gone to the fight.
Yeah, I mean, right now everything is perfect for me. As I say in my statements, it's all good. I wasn't the investigator, so everything is good, and now it's time for the title fight.
And you have an opportunity on January 20th in Boston to become a UFC champion less than a year after your debut. Just a month or so after you were supposed to fight, I believe, Jack May for the Titan FC title. How crazy is this? I know every time I talk to you, and I think this is the fourth time we've spoken, I just sort of, it's almost like I'm in awe of how quickly you've gone from Titan FC to the UFC title, to the title, mix and being in title contention, and the chance of going from their debut to a UFC champion is very rare. I can think of one situation in 2015, Holly Holm, of course. She made her debut in February of 2015 and knocked out Ronda Rousey for the women's bantamweight title in November 2015, although she was a known commodity. She had a world kickboxing and boxing experience. She was a former world champion, where you, as you say, on your social media, your words, you weren't anybody. No one really knew who you were. How crazy is it that you have the chance to go from, as you said, making your debut and all the way to a UFC title in less than a calendar year?
So yeah, definitely it's crazy. It's something that wasn't nobody, I guess, expected, because nobody knew me back in the day. So nobody knew who I was, and nobody were able to know also the potential that I had, because I did a first fight, then two really quick fights, so nobody really know what to expect. Nobody really know what to expect with my next fight, and the next fight is for the belt, and it's kind of a surprise for everybody. So definitely, but the rise has been pretty fast, for sure, and I feel blessed.
As far as what your expectations were when you stepped up on short notice, you of course faced Ovin St. Preux in Houston, Texas at UFC Fight Night Bermudez versus the Korean Zombie. When you had that fight, when you were going in on short notice, what were your expectations at the very moment as far as getting to the title? Every fighter, UFC, lower weight, higher weight, known commodity, not known commodity, the all-time goal is the UFC belt, but realistically, how long did you think it would take to get to the top of the division?
So my first fight, I didn't think about that, but I knew I was fighting the number 6 in the world. I was fighting somebody that had his chance for the title right away, with somebody that fought Jon Jones. So I knew I was really close, and I just kept on going with this because after that win, then I fought another up and coming guy that was also in the title talks. Everybody was saying that he was one of the best prospects. So I knew, it's all about anything that happened after the first fight was part of the process.
And Cormier is, of course, despite being the champion, he's coming off the loss to Jon Jones, as we all know, of course. Some people have said a big factor here is Cormier's chin, whether or not he can still take a punch, because when you get finished brutally like he did in July at UFC 214, the same card you beat Jimmy Manuwa on, of course, sometimes your chin just sort of goes away, and sometimes it's a pretty quick process. Do you think that could be a big factor here? Do you think Cormier's chin could be on the decline?
I don't know too much about that. I've seen a lot of people getting knocked out also. People getting knocked out during training. I don't really know what effect is going to be, but I don't think he's going to be really bothered by that. I think he had enough time to rest. He took so his doctor clear him out to fight for after New Year's, and I think now it's time. It's time for him to fight. So he's going to be ready. He's going to be 100%, and I know I'm going to face the best Cormier.
Now, of course, with the fight just being less than 2 months away, you're already into camp, I would think. Has this been the most you've ever trained wrestling defense?
Yeah, maybe no, maybe not. I've trained a lot also with like an anti-game for Misha. Then for Manuwa, of course, it was not the same. It all depends who I'm fighting, definitely. But I'm working my strength stat as well. So we have, as you know, we have so much stuff to work on, and cardio is also something really big right now because it's going to be a 5-round. So there is so much stuff different we have to work on, and of course, wrestling is one of the points.
And I feel like, you're probably, going out with a bold prediction and saying first round knockout, as you always seem to do. But I think there is a chance, and there's a chance of anything happening. I feel like we might see the most of you we've ever seen in the octagon. Like, again, as this fight, this is your first 5-rounder in the UFC. If it goes 25 minutes, that's a lot more of Volkan Oezdemir than we've seen. Even if you combine all three of your fights. Are you excited that we might see sort of everything you have to offer? Because your last two fights, we know that you have power, but they were so quick. We don't see your, well-rounded game. We don't see everything you have to offer. Are you excited that if you don't finish them early, we might have a chance to see what, you're really made of?
Yeah, I mean, the thing you're gonna see is somebody with a strong mind. That's for sure. I'm gonna go for the kill right away, and anything that happened during the fights, and I'm ready for a 5-round also.
And as far as DC's wrestling, you have to be very confident in every area, and I imagine that that goes for you. Do you look at DC's wrestling though as sort of the big factor here, the biggest factors out of everything, including whether or not his chin is good? Because I feel like if he gets you down, maybe you have a great get-up game, and I'm sure you can sort of attest to that. But if he gets you down, he has that's where he can win. I feel like that's his best place to win. Where on the feet, you probably have the advantage, or it's a close fight. Where on the ground, do you feel like it's a little more in his favor?
I mean, everybody has his strong points, and we all fight to get. We all try to put the fight where we are the most comfortable with. So DC is probably his wrestling. He's been wrestling all his life, and
sure.
This is my game is also my striking because I'm a striker. So it's all about who's gonna play his card well. But I got my game ready, and I'm pretty sure DC will think about something also.
Have you had any downtime? As I said, for the title fight just coming up, of course, and the legal issues, you've had a busy last few weeks. Have you had any sort of downtime whatsoever, or is your life right now dedicated to everything going on?
I had some downtime a little bit because I had a quick injury, and I had some time off training, of course. But now I'm back 100%. I'm basically training every day almost, except Sunday. So I'm ready, of course.
Do you want to say what that? Can you talk about that injury at all? I know it's not fight threatening. It's not going to cancel the fight, of course. But what very minor, I would assume.
Yeah, I had some issue with my hands a little bit, but it's all taken care of. So
because you hit so hard.
That's the problem, also, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Has it been tough to balance? What the other part you're dealing with, of course, the legal issues with the title fight, because two very important things. Or are you just letting everybody else, your lawyer, your team, deal with the legal stuff while you train? Is the focus? Yeah. Has it been tough to focus at all?
No, not at all. As you said, everybody has his own goal. Everybody has his own job. My job is to train and fight, and everybody else is handling their own job. So it's not hard for me to focus. I have faith in my team. I have a great team around me, so everything is handled properly.
Would you have preferred an extra month or two to get it ready just because of what happened, or as you said, because you're focused, it doesn't matter?
It really doesn't change anything. Yeah.
And I know Dana White recently said just over the weekend after UFC 218, when Francis Ngannou knocked out Alistair Overeem very quickly in under 2 minutes, Ngannou will be fighting Stipe Miocic next for the UFC heavyweight title, one up from your weight class, of course, 205. And he said that there is a possibility Ngannou versus Miocic may headline or be on your card. Have you been told whether or not you versus DC will be the main event of 220?
I'm not even sure. I think they're still building the card, so we need to see. So if Francis and Stipe will be on the card, also it will be a good addition. I'm excited with this matchup.
And I know you recently posted a photo on Twitter with the caption of heavyweight. Was that just a typo? Did you leave out light, or is that sort of like a cryptic tweet, maybe hinting at moving up in weight one day?
It just hints.
Nothing more?
We'll see about the future,
Maybe I'm looking at a 2-division champion, a future 2-division champion.
Everything still has to be written, huh?
Now, if I had your record up, I could check. Have you fought at heavyweight before? I know you were supposed to fight for the Titan FC heavyweight. Have you fought there though? Because that fight was canceled.
Yeah, basically I fought actually almost all my fights in heavyweight.
Okay.
Then I had my 3 UFC fights, and I think three other fights in light heavyweight.
You're of course focused on the 205-pound belt right now. It's in arm's reach, but realistically, like weight-wise, I know we talked about your new nutritionist, but do you feel like as you get older, typically it gets tougher to cut weight? Is your long-term future perhaps at 265?
That will be one of the best moves in the end. Definitely, I'm looking for challenge. So, but right now my focus is on the belt, and that's the first step.
Well, UFC 220, you're taking on the champion Daniel Cormier in Boston on January 20th. You, of course, like your bold predictions. I think with your new nickname, No Time. I got to hear this one. How do you get the job done?
It's going to be a first round knockout.
You want to give a time or not that specific?
Yeah, it's going to be a first round, definitely, for sure.
All right. Well, Volkan, I really do appreciate the time. Best of luck to you, of course, in the title fight and clearing everything up with the legal stuff. And thank you again. Before we let you go, just let my audience know where they can find you on social media. And if there's anybody you would like to thank or give a shout out to, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So, yes, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under Volkan _Oezdemir, my last name. Thank you guys so much.